And welcome to the Open Mic with myself, Jay Rice, and my co-host,
Jeffrey Ide.
The place where serious and silly complaints come to chat. Open Mic Gripe is a weekly podcast dedicated to hearing your gripes, grievances, and opinions on any and all topics.
Every episode, Jay and I will have an opportunity to get to the bottom of the issues which are lingering on the back of your mind, and engage in order to create a constructive conversation using a combination of lighthearted comedy and well-formed logic.
If you feel like we are wrong, inappropriate, or biased, and let's be honest, you probably will, then call in, email, or tweet and let your voice be heard. You can email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet to us at openmicgripe, and both of those are all one word, Open Mic Gripe.
So jump on in and gripe on the Open Mic with Jay Rice and Jeffrey Ide. Welcome back to Open Mic Gripe with Jeffrey Ide and
Jay Rice.
Today we're going to be talking about your gripes, and we'd like to hear, so feel free to call or write in at openmicgripe@gmail.com.
Yeah, or make sure to tweet us at Open Mic Gripe. We've already mentioned that, of course. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about, maybe not your gripe, we're going to be talking with, we have a guest on today. Yeah, so let's give a little round of applause for guests. There's only 3 people in here, so Kendall, you have to clap as well. Thank you. Yes, everybody, this is Kendall. How would you like to be introduced?
Kendall Barbie.
Kendall Barbie, all right. She was smart enough to change her name. We were not smart enough to do that. So now when I say horrible things, people can just find me and actually find my address and stalk me.
Like I said, that's Jay Rice.
You did quit it.
Nobody wants to stalk you.
That's true. Well, I only had one. And, you know, one thing that I think is interesting is that guys they're more likely to date their stalkers.
Well, do you think it's a compliment to be stalked?
Yeah, I do. See, and that's the difference between men and women. Like, I think if I was being stalked, I'd probably be like, oh, that's kind of nice. They really have a lot of interest in me. But I'm very narcissistic. So somebody that loves me as much as me, I find that to be very
I'm going to change my address, my phone number. I'm going to get out of town. I'm going to change my Facebook name, hence my name now.
Oh, so you've been stalked.
The whole reason I'm called that is not a comedy thing. It happened before comedy. I had some stalkers, and I had to change my name.
This is really weird, because all 3 of us have had stalkers.
I've only had one.
I've had one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ken, how many have you had?
Handful.
Okay, wow. That's quite odd. Well, we'll make a new club. The Stalkers United.
And you wouldn't date any of your stalkers?
No. Well, I used to date a few of them is the problem, I think.
Oh, so did you date them?
Ex-boyfriend stalkers. They're not always... There was a couple that I didn't really date. There's a couple... I went on one date with a guy.
Uh-huh.
His name was Michael. I don't remember his last name. And he called me after our first date and told me he was in love with me. I told him
Always a good move.
I told him to check himself. And then he cried a lot on the phone and then called me like 1,000 times every day for a month.
Note to self. Do not say I love you after the first date.
No,
that's weird.
It's pretty standard across the board. Even if you're really into somebody and they're into you, you say I love you right away, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's
red flags.
Yeah, a little nutty.
Okay, yeah, you have nothing to complain about, I guess. As a guy, you can just complain about having stalkers, and hopefully they stop after a while.
Wait, you have nothing to complain about? What are you doing on this podcast?
I think I can have gripes. But realize that my gripes are also meaningless.
Oh yeah, well most gripes are meaningless. I mean, there are definitely some that are much that are worthwhile, but so far the ones that we've talked about mostly.
You're not going to achieve much with your griping.
No, we're not, and that's the thing. I hope everybody realizes we're not.
You're just trying to get it out.
Right, we're not out here to try to solve the problems.
Right.
We're just out here to gripe about them and hear everybody else's gripes.
Well, I don't know. I think there's something to be accomplished from griping. I think if I gripe about something, I'm hoping that someone somewhere will have a greater understanding about the people who want to gripe about that issue.
Well, that's selfish.
Yeah, he is a selfish person.
I am a horribly selfish person. Yes.
I want my gripes to be understood, God damn it. I want something to happen about it.
Well, by the same token, when people call in and when people write in, I want to be able to understand where they're coming from, and hopefully empathy will happen.
I didn't know Gandhi was on this show. This is great.
Gandhi was an asshole.
Yeah, that's true. Same as Mother Teresa. People don't realize that.
Yes, Gandhi was a racist pedophile.
Oh, well.
You've heard it here maybe like fifth or sixth time. I'm thinking maybe, well, I guess I've never heard that Gandhi was a pedophile.
I like that pronunciation.
The pedophile.
Ah, jeez.
It's not a pedophile like any other fucking person would say. It's a pedophile.
Oh, yeah, that's how Jeffrey talks. It's
I can say
very annoying.
I can say fuck, right?
Oh, yeah, you can say that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to offend anybody.
Well, we're going to offend people. It's okay.
Well, yeah, I sometimes catch up with my pronunciation here in the States. I've lived most of my life outside of it, and so I'm not always aware
Oh,
of
go
the
back to
correct
Canada.
pronunciations. So anyway, Kendall, we asked you to prepare a series of gripes for our podcast, and I was wondering what kind of things did you come up with? What kind of things are on your mind? What bothers you?
There's I guess a lot of things that bother me. It depends on where you want to start. I think the one thing, being from California and living here in Fargo, is the blatant racism, like public racism that happens.
Do you have an example of something that happened?
When I first moved here, I was living South Fargo, kind of by the trailer park area. You guys are from here, so you know that. And the hub was right there.
Okay, and just for our audience, the hub was like, it was a giant area with a bunch of different bars, a very college scene.
And it was ladies' night, which is when ladies pay what it was like $5 and you could drink all night.
Yeah, basically, ladies paid $5 and then they could drink all night for that $5.
So being from California, I'm pumped, and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go drink all the drinks I can drink because in California they don't do that. And I'm there, and I had a few drinks, and I went outside to have a cigarette, and this lady's going on and on about Mexicans and how they shouldn't be in our country, and fuck these Mexicans, and all my best friends back home are Mexican. And it was super weird. And then she said, can you believe they let and I'm not going to say this word, but she said the N-word. She said, can you believe that an N-word be our president?
Oh, wow.
And she shouted that in public. Two people high-fived her.
Oh, jeez.
And no one stood up to her. And I walked inside before I was to start a fight because
Yeah, but then you're, in a way, though, you're part of the Midwestern problem, which is to say, I mean, something was said that is horribly racist and offensive. And one of the things we were talking about before is the nature of the Midwest here. And I mean, how should people react to this, is my question.
Well, I obviously walked, like gave her a bad look, which is all, I'm a pacifist. I always have been. I'm not going to go punch a lady for saying something bad. And the thing is, talking to a racist person who's that deeply racist doesn't change anything.
Well, I don't know. I would disagree with that. I confront racist people all the time, and I actually want to.
And you change their mind about stuff.
Well, what's important is that they don't say things to influence other people's opinions on the matter in public or in private. People should be ashamed about their views.
Do you know for a fact that you speaking to a racist person has stopped them completely from expressing their racist views in public?
Well, the first problem, of course, is that there aren't specific racist, non-racist categories to put people in. I mean, we're all racist. Every single one of us is racist, but we have to try to enlighten ourselves to this idea of how our views influence each other. And so, yeah, there have been a lot of times where someone held a view, which was racist. I pointed it out to them, and of course, they didn't want to be called racist. And so they said, sorry.
Because they're embarrassed in public and then they go home and they act the same exact way. Do you think you have the ability to influence someone's views in a way that they actually change their views wholeheartedly?
I would say that actually I think the important thing is that when you call them out in public, it is public shaming, and I doubt it actually changed their opinion, except for maybe they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that around a group of people, but I hope there were other people around that might have been wishy-washy racist. Right. And they're like, oh, other people don't like when I would say this either.
Right.
I'm from I say this every episode. I'm from a very small town, and I had to put up with that, and I had to call people out for being racist and whatnot, and I think that was a big surprise because for somebody in my little town of 300 people, for me to stand up and go, I didn't even know any black people or any Mexicans or anything at that time.
Yeah.
And for me to stand up and say, listen, that is complete BS, and I don't ever want to hear you saying that stuff around me.
Right. Well, I mean, racism is a sociological complex. It's a way that a group of people can identify with a particular view. And it's a way, if racist people feel like they're fitting in by saying these horrible things, because they're convinced in their hearts that other people feel the same way. And I think by the way the public reacts to them, they're going to amend their views and maybe not stop being racist.
I could see it if it would continue to happen.
Right.
You know, if probably not one time, but if people would continually like hear them, overhear them saying something and calling them out, and I think if the same person got called out time after time,
Yeah.
I don't know if it would really change their views, but it would definitely. I think it would definitely make them feel like a horrible person.
What I think it's going to do is it's going to shove their racism into their closeted life, and they're still going to be racist bigots. They're still going to procreate. And they're still going to raise their children to be racist bigots, and we're not stopping the problem.
Right, but
the problem starts with children. We have to educate children
to not
in schools when they're away from their parents, whether they're racist or not, to not be racist and to not be sexist and to not body shame or bully or do any of these things. We have to educate them in a public system where they're away from their families, because who knows what their families stand for.
Right. Okay, I understand that. And so do you agree with like this just happened on, there was like the X Factor in the Netherlands or something that two of the judges like openly bullied this person. And then actually celebrities like sent them cupcakes and whatnot. No, well, it was on Bing News. But yeah, it was something.
There was a thing I saw about a guy in LA who was overweight.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
this is
and
great.
body shaming is a thing that I don't like at all.
Mm-hmm.
Health is not always based on body type. Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously, if you're super big, there's probably other health things going on. Sometimes you can't control it. Sometimes you were born with it, you were raised in it, whatever. And this guy was out at a club dancing, trying to have a good time and enjoy himself. And someone videotaped him and shamed him on the internet publicly.
They even showed the two pictures, like one of him like dancing and having a good time,
right.
And then they even said, and then this is what the guy looked like after he saw all of us laughing at
right.
him, and he looked so dejected. He just had his head down, and it really broke your heart. And this is what happened next was amazing. I don't know.
They started a GoFundMe or something of the sort for this guy to throw him a big party in LA, for like a big dance party, so he could have his own party and he could like be with a bunch of cool people.
Oh no, all women.
And was it all women?
There was like 1,000 women that showed up to this party. There was this dude and 1,000 women that all these women got together and threw this party just for this guy to come out and have a good time. And it was really great. It was actually a way that shows how social media can be. I mean, the thing I don't like when people demonize a technology, because it's just like a hammer. A hammer is a tool. You can use a hammer to build a house.
You can kill a person or build a house.
Right. So this was a time where they really showed social media in a positive aspect, and they didn't know who this guy was. And so they were searching out, they put it out on Twitter, on Facebook, trying to find this guy. And one guy just happened to see this guy taking a picture with some baseball mascot, and was like, "Hey," and sent the picture. They're like, "Hey, is this the guy?" And they found out, sure enough, that was the guy, and they invited him to this party. It was really great. It was a really like
It's an uplifting, like, cool story.
Yeah.
That the community of like the whole United States could come together and have all these people do this.
So you're saying that community can come together and create change in the way we perceive things?
For a small part.
I don't know. I feel that same way about issues of racism. And I feel like only by working together and only by keeping vigilant in the way we view things and influencing each other on a day-to-day level towards tolerance, towards open-mindedness, I think it will make a huge difference. And it has made a huge difference. In fact, although we still live in a massively racist society, we've come so far.
Have you guys heard about this Unity ND?
No. Well, yeah, I have. But I mean,
You've heard about it.
Yes.
I mean, I've done volunteer work for this nonprofit.
Yeah.
Unity ND. They started as a group that fought against the whole business in Lathe.
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right. Yep.
Lathe, if you've heard about that news, basically the Nazis tried to get into this town.
Neo-Nazis.
Neo-Nazis.
They tried to take over a town.
Trying to take over this town and have their
Like a
little
whites
white supremacy
only,
town.
Not like the good old-fashioned Nazis.
No, not like the Nazis
The
that
survivors
you see
from
on
World
Dead
War
Snow.
II, yeah.
But now as a nonprofit, from what I've understood from them, is that they're trying to go, like I was saying earlier, go into schools and educate children about this, because you can't control the parents, you can't control the outside influences, but as a child, that's when you learn the most. And if you can learn acceptance before you're like 8 years old,
Well, no, actually,
that's awesome.
Most children know acceptance. It's most children have to be taught how to be racist.
But if they're being taught racism in their home and then they go to school and they tell them otherwise, it can contradict that and maybe fight against it.
Yeah,
And
no,
they
I'm
can
not.
bring
I'm
it
not
back
saying.
into their home.
I'm definitely. I think it's a good idea. What I'm just saying is that most of the time, if little kids on a playground, if you've never taught them like the difference between black and white,
Oh,
they might
absolutely not.
Yeah, they're not gonna. They might go, oh, hey, that kid's brown. But it's just like it's an observation. It's not like, hey, that kid's brown. I don't like that kid.
I grew up with 50% Mexican people, and I didn't even know the difference. Half my friends were Mexicans, and I was just, they're my friends.
Right.
I thought they were just like a little tanner. Like, I didn't think about.
But on that note, we probably should move on.
Well, here's a completely different gripe.
Okay.
Let's talk about skin conditions.
Skin conditions.
Jay, do you have any skin conditions?
You know what? I helped out. I helped out for this. I can't remember. It was some feminine thing. That sounds weird. It was a very long time ago. But
We gave out tampons to the public.
but for part of it, what we did is they wanted to wax guys' chests, and so I offered to do this. Now the thing is I am not a very hairy person. I have a little bit of hair in the middle. I've got a little bit of hair around my nipples, but overall, I am not a hairy person. And the two other guys that were getting their chest waxed, they were very hairy people, and so everybody wanted to wax their chests. Now the thing is I got like one strip pulled off, and after that happened, now I do have like some kind of skin condition around there where it basically caused, I have no idea.
I can look at it later. I'm an
Okay.
esthetician. We can.
I'll probably have you check that out.
In
Yeah,
private,
it's got
we can do
some. I don't know.
But
I
I'm
got some
mostly what
weird
I'm getting
dots.
at is psoriasis.
Mhm.
It sucks. I have it, and especially in the winter.
Can you tell us what psoriasis is?
It's I mean, similar to eczema.
Jeffrey knows what it is.
It's a skin condition. It happens because of an overproduction of skin cells
Okay.
and oils build up and things like that.
It's an autoimmune response that your skin has, where the directions that your skin cells take eventually get them to multiply faster than they can shed, causing a buildup of skin on the surface.
So you're like basically Quasimodo.
You're just growing humps
It's
everywhere.
like really gross.
Well, if you have it on the scalp, it kind of it might appear to be
It
dandruff.
mimics dandruff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
But you can get it anywhere, and I happen to sometimes get on my boobs, on my breasts.
What do you do about
Excuse
it?
me, breasts. No, I had a few patches, and I went to the bathroom at Courtney's, and I had Michelle look at it to make sure I wasn't dying of cancer.
Okay.
And I was really scared. It's not cancer; it's like just psoriasis. So I have this cream. It's like a treatment cream,
Mm-hmm.
and it also has like menthol in it. It's very cooling.
Nice.
So I just go home and get naked.
Menthol?
I get naked in my bathroom, and I just smother myself
In menthol cream.
head to toe in psoriasis cream and just breathe it in.
I don't know. That sounds actually very nice.
It's exciting. I
I
like
like
it. I like it.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I should get a little psoriasis so I can lather myself in menthol cream.
One time I said something about psoriasis cream and coming over to rub it on my body on Facebook, and a friend of mine said, "I think I have a lot of psoriasis on my balls."
oh, don't
Why
put menthol in your balls.
Why don't you
That's
come
a
over
really
and-
bad idea.
Oh,
Rub
really?
some
What
psoriasis.
happened, Jeffrey?
Oh, geez. Have you ever had
Oh, jeez.
like?
Oh, geez.
I used to love, what was it called? Like Icy
Vicks.
Hot,
Oh.
you know? And I
Right.
used to love putting Icy Hot on my neck because it just feels great. It was almost just a way to relax, even if your muscles weren't aching. And I'd always forget that I had that crap on my hands. And I'd scratch my balls, and that just ruins your night.
Oh, even worse is when you're like making dinner with your fiance and you're making like enchiladas, chopping up peppers, and then he has habaneros on his fingers. You're fooling around in the kitchen.
Oh.
Needless to say, I spent like an hour in a cold bath crying.
Oh my goodness.
It was the worst
Yeah.
ever.
Welcome to the dirty episode of Open My Gripe.
Well, some things are just worth sharing.
Very true.
Yeah. I understand your personal qualm with psoriasis. I do have psoriasis myself. It is quite annoying, especially when people point at, like, I have it just sometimes leads to red skin on your like leg, and everyone.
Or on your pussy.
Okay.
Kendall Barbie, everybody.
I have yet to have psoriasis on my
I just
pussy.
love saying pussy because it makes me feel bad, so I know it makes everyone else feel bad. That's why I say it.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do about psoriasis.
I mean, you can put the cream on. That's
You can
like,
treat it.
That's really all you can do.
You're stuck with your genetics. Deal with it.
Yeah, well, I still don't understand why mine didn't come out until after I had my chest waxed.
Sounds like an infection.
That has been happening for 3 years now.
You have herpes on your chest.
Apparently, from chest
Not
chest
good.
waxing.
Okay, moving on. That's enough pubic lice talk.
I don't think we talked about crabs at all.
Are pubic lice and crabs like the same thing?
Yeah.
I don't know what. I've never had either one.
Yeah, pubic lice they're called crabs.
Like, are they actually like bugs that crawl on your pubes?
Yeah, it's strange, and yeah, pubic lice actually does prefer to stay in the pubic region.
And pubic lice is going
But if
extinct.
you have no hairs, then can they still stay there?
No, that's one way to get rid of them is to actually shave
That's
your
the whole
pubes.
point, is that pubic lice is actually going extinct to some degree simply because everyone trims
Because
their
I
shaves.
wax all the ladies' vaginas, and sorry, pubic lice.
I'm glad you're doing your part in ridding us of
helping.
crabs.
I don't know. Save the lice.
Oh yeah, are you starting a new
Are you-
campaign?
He's got like a jar of dead ones. He just like keeps them.
Do you have your own colony that you're keeping alive?
He has like an ant farm of pubic lice.
Thousands of lice go missing every single day. You can stop this.
He's got like, one of those like see-through ant farms, but it's just like full of like shaved off pubes, and the lice just like burrow tunnels in it.
I saved up for 13 years.
Every girlfriend he has, he like snips a few and like puts them in his little farm.
This is what happens when you invite comics in. Things take a weird turn, that's for sure.
Pubic lice farms. Yeah. Speaking of comedy, though, you guys, chauvinistic and racist comedy, like serious, like sexist, terrible shit. How do you feel about it?
I'm with you. Like Andrew Dice Clay is a really good example. I just cannot stand that overly chauvinistic.
Who's the guy? Jeffries?
Jim Jeffries?
Is that his name?
Oh, I like Jim Jeffries.
He's very sexist too, though.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys, since you're both comics, and I have to answer these questions all the time for some reason, especially because I'm around Jay. Where can you draw the line in terms of comedy? Where?
Well, what Louis C.K. said was, you can make a joke about anything as long as you don't make the victim the butt of your joke.
Okay.
So you can make a rape joke if the rapist
Is
the butt of the joke.
Okay.
You can make a child murdering joke as long as the child murderer is the butt of the joke.
Okay.
You can joke about anything, but you can't make the person that is suffering insanely the butt of your joke because they're already suffering. So why are you going to put them down again?
Right. Well, easy targets, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's cheap humor,
Yeah.
and no one wants to hear it.
Right. And I guess for me, like, I think any comic can talk about whatever they want. They can and they can offend whoever they want. They just have to be ready for the backlash. They have to understand that by saying racist and sexist stuff, yeah, you're gonna have people that come out and say you're a horrible person, and then they can't just go, oh, you don't get it. I'm funny. You get the joke, because a lot of times it's not even that
A
funny
joke.
of
It's not even a joke half the time.
I think that's where it is, when it's not a joke and it's malicious.
It's blatant, like, maliciousness against women or children or other races. There was a guy that said, I'm not going to say the joke or his name, but he said a very terrible thing, which basically said, hey, if you're a woman who chooses not to have sex, you should be raped.
Oh, yeah, see, that's not... And
that's
not
what the
funny.
joke was. And I told him I didn't appreciate it, and he said, hey, well, I respect you for your comedy, so respect me for mine.
No, you don't have to respect...
And you don't have to respect anybody for anything in comedy. But if you're going to put down women in general, like they should be raped...
That's pretty dramatic.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah, and it's not funny, and there's no... I don't see any humor in
There's
that.
not at all. And there's jokes where I've seen people tell jokes where I'm like, I don't think that's funny, but I understand why people might.
Right. And I would say that sometimes when people have seen my comedy, if you don't listen to it all the way through, you might see it as very sexist. But a lot of times I'm the butt of the joke, and it's the way that I'm viewing sexism is really the butt of the joke, more than the people, like more than women or minorities or anything like that. Actually, I don't do any racial humor.
Well, it's like the joke that I have about OkCupid, which I'm not going to get into, but I did it for my sister when I was in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And she said, she's like, was that a really sexist joke against women, or were you making a commentary about dating sites? And I said, it's a joke about how dating sites are stupid. And people are dumb. It's not about women being hungry for penises.
Right. Okay. Well, so people understand. Basically, the joke is that everything on your OkCupid said, "I'm for getting that D. I'm for the D." Right. And so it wasn't a joke about women wanting sex. It was a joke about how ridiculous
dating
websites
are stupid.
Right.
And my sister has 2 master's degrees. She's like amazing. She's so great. And she didn't even understand that. So it's like sometimes with humor, people just don't get it.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
I don't get it if you were doing a really sexist bit about how much you want to have sex, or if you're mocking, and it's like, to me it's obvious.
Right.
As
yeah,
a
of course
comic.
we're the one framing the joke. And that's one thing that's so hard about comedy, is that if you don't lay it out, if you leave it open to interpretation, a lot of times people don't get it. And that's one really hard thing about comedy, is that you really do a lot of times have to lay it out for them.
You have to explain your whole story.
Right.
Which to you seems so annoying, and not even annoying, but like boring almost. Like, you should know this already.
When I first started comedy, I always thought the crowd was going to come along with me. They were going to understand the leaps that I was taking. And it did not take me very long to realize, no, they don't get it. They're not making these leaps, and I have to explain it step by step to them. Yeah, I mean, without making it dry, but I basically have to lead them on this journey to the punchline. I can't just make these wild leaps and have them understand what was going on in my head.
Yeah, well, it's tough.
Comedy's tough, guys.
Sounds like a hard life.
Yeah. So
hey,
tough.
here's the thing you could maybe... Are you a single person?
I am.
Okay, here's the thing another gripe of mine. People always... How old are you? Can I ask you that on there? Is that okay?
I'm 30.
You're 30. I'm almost 30. Jay's 107.
Yeah.
So...
I'm 33, I think. Yeah.
Jay,
I'm already to the age where I'm forgetting my age.
Jay is senile. And anyway, people, especially out here in the Midwest,
Yes.
compared to California, it's like, you're like way past your prime, dude. When are you going to pop some out? Right?
You mean the pressure to have children?
Or get married, or buy a house, or do any of these things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, definitely out here, and I think a lot of other places, there's that stepping stone. It's like, okay, you go to college, Or so you're done with high school. Now you have to go to college.
And then when you're done with college, you get married, you buy a house.
Yeah, you have a girlfriend. Now you need to get married. Okay, now that you're married, now when are you going to have kids?
The important thing is that the previous generation's goal is to put unnecessary pressure on you to fulfill their expectations of society. Your goal is to tell them to fuck off. And in the meantime, live as an individual. Because
But that's not how it worked in the past. It always has been.
well, traditions are meant to prevent change. And that's the whole point. Individualism is the only method by which we can achieve human rights in the world today.
Do you think that our generation is lacking in that? Like, I'm talking our generation within like a 20-year span. People who are in their late 20s to early 40s-ish
Okay.
are in this box where they're not the same as people who got married in the 50s and
Right.
60s and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what I see is that people got married. The reasons why people got married and the reasons why people stay married are very different things. Obviously, the high divorce rate is largely due to the pressure that people experienced and the reasons they got married. I know my parents got married because that was the only way my mother got to get out of the house. And there was a lot of family pressure, and people were okay with accepting that family pressure. The difference is our generation doesn't put up with it.
How happy was your mom when you got a vasectomy?
What would that? I mean,
You got a vasectomy?
oh yeah, best decision I've made ever.
And you're single?
Yeah.
And you have no kids?
No, never.
Why did you do that?
Because I am fully aware that I would make a horrible father.
Why?
And I really don't want to ever have children.
Why?
It's as an individual, I don't think I can make a decision that would affect the future life of children.
And you think at 30 that you know that that's who you're always going to be forever and you're never going to change your mind?
About that issue, yeah.
You really know that?
Yeah.
At 30 years old? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Why are you body shaming his vasectomy?
I'm not. I'm questioning because I have a sister
Uh-huh.
who at 30 I was with and she was crying, oh, it's going to be alone. Oh. And I'm never going to have kids. And then 2 years later, she met a dude. And they fell in love, and they're like super happy, and they're both weird nerd people, and they got together, and they decided to have kids because of he's from Greece, and it's cultural stuff, and they had kids, and she never
That's a
wanted
good reason to have kids.
any of that, and now it's all worked out, and she loves her kids, and everything's great.
Well, if she didn't love her kids, she would be just a horrible biological.
You just called my sister
animal.
a whore.
Oh, stop. You know, what it-
Oh, well, hey, your sister's a whore then. So,
Listen, in my opinion, having children is the most selfish decision any human being can make. It's basically saying that I'm in a position to know that I would make a good parent. And when 80% of people out there consider themselves to be above average drivers, I think we can conclude that people are horrible at making their own
do you think that maybe
evaluations of themselves.
I think that maybe subconsciously, because you haven't found a woman to be your partner, that's your excuse for things.
Considering
Because-
we just met today, I think you're assuming quite a bit
No,
about
because
me.
I know that about myself. Because I say I don't want to have kids, but if I had the perfect man in my life, and I wanted to marry him, I would probably think about it a lot more than I do right now when I'm single.
I also have no inclination to get married.
See, and
I say that too, but if there was the perfect person that came along,
but you guys know I'm single, but my whole life I have wanted to be married and have kids, but I wasn't just willing to like just jump into a marriage and have it with anybody.
Right.
Like, and that's one reason why I'm still single at this age is because I've been waiting for the right person. Now, if it never happens, that's a different story. But you know, like so I would never get a vasectomy because that's what I
that's my
wanted.
vasectomy question, because I don't want that right now. I don't want to get married right now. I don't want to have kids right now. It could change tomorrow. I could meet someone and we could develop a thing, and within a couple years, I could want to marry them and have kids with them. Who knows? Things could change in a second. But I'm not willing. I wouldn't like take out my uterus right now because I don't want to have kids today.
I don't think there's, and this is, I put a lot of thought into things, and this is one of those issues where there's nothing that can come about or happen tomorrow that's really going to change my opinion on
And I have to say, Jeffrey, I really respect your opinion or your decision to get a vasectomy because honestly, the world is overpopulated, and I do have a problem with adults that shame women that say that they don't want to have kids.
That's fucked up. Yeah,
it's okay. You don't have to have the life that other people want for you. You should have the life that you want for you.
Plus, you get to crush puss nonstop and not even knock up any ladies.
Exactly. Like that's a good benefit of having a vasectomy.
Never had it put that way.
Hey, you ever crushed a puss?
Jeffrey's out there crushing puss.
Yo, Jeffrey, you ever crushed a puss?
I'm putting that on a t-shirt. Crush.
Crush. I crush puss.
Vasectomy equals crushing puss.
Wow. No, listen. I
ladies, there's a puss crusher on the market.
have.
He's gonna crush your puss.
Hey, dental hygienist. That always hits on Jeffrey.
My dental hygienist always hits on me while she's in my mouth.
Crush her puss.
Anyway, no. Having lived in a number of countries where you have extremely strong cultural and traditional bonds, where people would not only be cast away from their family for not having children, but their divorces or their marriages would be annulled instantaneously if they couldn't have children. It's not that bad here in the States, but it is still a problem. A lot of the pressure that especially women face. Guys don't have as much pressure. They get casual questions, but, if you're playing the field, you're a good boy, and way to go. And,
Well, the thing, also, women can only have kids till they're at 45. At this point, they say 40. 45 is still healthy. You can have kids till about 45.
Yeah.
Men can have kids till they die.
Yeah.
They might have, ridiculously autistic kids or something not very fun to deal with as an infant. But men can inseminate women. They can...
and even if they can't get it up, we got pills for that.
An 80-year-old dude still has sperm enough to impregnate a 20-year-old lady. But once you go through menopause when you're 50, you're done.
Or we should just consider the larger problem here is our obsession with monogamy and the absolute biological
Let's all
flaw.
have orgies. So what you're saying is you're looking for a threesome? Should we put a Craigslist ad out for you?
For me. I already got those. No.
You're already boning all the people. Is what
all
you're
the
saying?
people, all at once.
Oh, God.
No,
and he's easy to invite because he's got the vasectomy going on.
Right? He can just jerk off in every lady's pussy and it doesn't even matter.
Jesus Christ.
Why would I jerk off into it?
You just
What?
So weird.
speculums, dude.
Okay, well.
Interesting. Maybe we should switch topics.
Yes.
Kendall, do you have another gripe?
I think I have. The ladies that scream when they're drunk.
Nice. Okay, just when they just scream, they get
Do you
drunk
know
and
when
they
you
just
see?
scream
Okay,
constantly.
you've been downtown or
I've been to a bar.
Bucks or wherever the hell people like to drink, or I don't know.
I've been to bars. Yeah.
And then there's a girl that walks in. She's her friends, and she goes, "Ah, I'm not gonna do it because ugh." And they scream a lot, and then their friends are around like, "Oh my God, Abbey! Woo!"
Wait, well, why are you upset that
Because
people
it's
are just
so
happy?
loud.
But also,
it's
why
so
are you upset?
much.
Why are you upset when women do it? Because guys do it.
Guys
all
don't
the
do
time.
it ever.
Guys do it. Okay. We just
It's
had...
like, bro, what's up, dude?
No. way.
Fist bump.
Hey, bro.
I saw guys this last weekend
Screaming
walking.
and hugging.
Yes.
In their high heels.
Well, that was a few weekends ago for Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. But the guys are walking downtown. It was St. Patrick's Day parade.
Oh,
Everybody
okay,
was-
that's like Drunk Day 2006. Like, come on.
Drunk Day 2006.
Yeah, that's like bro party. Well, because Fargo's like a little rewinded.
Oh yes. Well, a little bit what?
People in Fargo are a little,
Rewinded.
yeah.
Behind the times.
They like to rollerblade.
I've never seen rollerblades here.
Are you kidding me?
I have Heelys. Does that count?
What?
Heelys.
What's a Healy?
People, have you been to Island Park in the summer?
Wait, but you don't know what a Heely is?
Oh my God, do they make adult Heelys?
I have brand new adult Heelys.
Shut up, I need some.
They're the ones. They're the shoes with the roller in the heel, so you can walk and
You can
then
like
you
go
can
to
just
Kmart
roll.
and you can like buy Windex and just like scoot down and get your like Tampax and just move along. It's fun.
Yeah, it was a hard time. It was hard finding adult Heelys, but I found them.
You know what I'm really sad about? There's no Segways in town.
Let's buy one. Let's team buy one and ride all three of us together.
Ride sharing on a Segway.
Can you imagine like three people piled on a Segway? Just like
No, forward.
Everybody lean.
Yes. No, I've never heard of these shoes with
Yeah, they're called Heelys.
Heelys. Okay,
Yeah, you'll have to check them out. Maybe I'll let you try.
I'm sorry. I feel like a foreigner here a lot. I'm always being introduced to new things,
Like girls screaming in bars.
like girls screaming in
Okay,
bars.
so that's a good. Does that happen overseas when you are? Were there bars overseas?
Jeez.
I'm trying to, I'm
do
trying
they
to make
have
this
bars
natural.
in other countries?
I'm trying to make this natural.
Okay.
Jay doesn't
Trying to-
understand.
I'm trying to invite you into the conversation.
Yes, thank you. No, I mean, yeah, I suppose.
No, yeah.
See, I'm vindicated.
I don't know. I wouldn't go to bars where girls are screaming at each other.
So you've never been to a bar?
You never seen a girl get excited about her friend and scream about it.
Oh, actually, I take that back. On my trivia team last Friday, we had one of those girls who was screaming
Just
at
one.
people.
Ever in your life. You've never seen it ever.
I guess I don't pay attention to it as much as I pay attention to the dude bros who are screaming at each other.
There's not as many dudes that I've seen do it. I'm not saying that there aren't dudes that do it.
I've spent most of my life drinking,
Okay.
just to be honest, in bars. And I've never seen a dude scream at another dude. I've seen a lot of "What's up, bud? Boo, ooh," and like chest bumps. But the whole like singing from across the bar and going, "Oh, Abbey, you're here!"
You're so angry
Woo!"
about Abbey.
And she like, I don't know Priscilla. I don't know. Jessica. I don't know what their
There's
names
a lot
are.
of Jessicas.
Jessica.
But what?
Caitlin. Oh, Caitlin. Oh.
But maybe they're upset that they're like, oh hey, there's that girl Kendall. She's just sitting over there quietly drinking. How could she?
Chicks hate me so much. Like a lot.
Why do they hate you so much?
I don't know.
Because you don't scream
You're
and are happy.
nonconformist to the screaming.
Because you don't scream and welcome them into the bar. I think.
I got in trouble with a lady. She cried at the bar.
Because you didn't.
Because
you
I was
didn't welcome.
because I was friends with the guy she wanted to fuck. That's all I did. I was friends with the guy, and she got mad about it, and she cried, and then we were all in trouble.
I've got a gripe. Why are elements of jealousy encouraged socially?
They're not. I want to tell these ladies to chill out.
I've had so many instances where I was talking about the nature of jealousy in relationships, and a lot of people say, no, I'm actually turned on by the jealousy.
That's fucked up to me.
That's messed up.
Well, I've been surprised, but a lot of people think so.
Though I know what that's getting back to is it's that feeling of being wanted, and I think there is this kind of mentality where if somebody was like, oh, if my boyfriend wasn't jealous that I was talking to another dude, he doesn't care about me.
That's really messed up.
Wow.
I've heard people along that line say that kind of thing.
It also adds elements of sort of sexual ownership and control.
Maybe they like that idea of being owned.
See, I'm always the lady. I have a lot of male friends. And when I end up dating guys, they have to understand that. And most of them have. And they get it. And they understand, they trust me that I have these male friends that are not sexual partners of mine. And they're just male friends of mine, like brothers or something.
Right.
But a lot of my male friends' girlfriends don't understand that.
Right.
Even though I've never shown any sort of sign of wanting to be with them or anything, I've never even hugged this person. And they still get very upset and don't like me.
I've noticed that around here. It just seems like the way that women are socialized, it's a lot more competitive.
I don't understand it.
A lot
personally.
cattier.
Well, and like you've got a lot of friends that are male, and I've got a lot of friends that are female. And growing up, there was a lot of like growing up, kind of college age kind of stuff. There was a lot of times where I slept in the same bed as a woman, and nothing ever happened. But
I sleep in the same bed with my male friends to this day.
I could see that. I could see how somebody could not be okay with that, but at the same time, it's just a friendship thing. It's just like they needed a place to stay. I didn't have another bed.
But I understand too at the point if you are in a committed relationship,
Right.
I wouldn't want my boyfriend to sleep in the same bed with another girl, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep on the floor, sleep on the couch. That's fine. Have female friends, that's cool. But when it's just a friendship, like a public only friendship, and these girls are getting mad at me for being friends with their boyfriends to have a cup of coffee and talk about comedy. Or things like, you know what I'm saying?
And that goes back to insecurity. If somebody cannot stand a male and a female being, like you say, public friends, where it's not even like you're in private, not even in private settings, that just goes back to being that person is very insecure.
And how much of this, though, is involved in society, which tells you not to be confident? A lot of elements of society ask you, if you exhibit confidence in public, people immediately jump to arrogance. They immediately think that you're being full of yourself, that you're being egotistical.
Or especially with women, bitchy.
Right.
Yeah, people have told me a lot, which is weird because I feel like I'm one of the most insecure people. I'm not like depressed about myself by any means, but I'm not super confident or anything. And I've had women tell me that I've become friends with later in life. Hey, I approached you one time after an open mic, or I approached you one time after this, and you were very mean to me.
Why did they think you were mean?
Because they said you were short with me or something. And it was probably because I was in a rush to get somewhere. Right. I was drinking, or I was trying to do, I was probably too drunk, and my friend was there, and I want to go see my friend. So I was like, okay, thanks, and then I ran away.
Yeah.
I've never purposely been mean to someone, but there's people that think that I'm like a terrible human being out there. That it sucks.
Jeffrey thinks I am a horrible communicator because even though I can get up on stage and talk to everybody, then if somebody would introduce themselves afterwards, I sometimes have a hard time having a one-on-one conversation with somebody that I don't know. So he thinks I'm a horrible communicator.
The one gripe that I know you mentioned earlier today that I'm really sad we didn't get to was the defining success. That's actually one of the things that I've always thought about. And unfortunately, I don't know if we've got a couple minutes.
Yeah, you guys can edit. You're going to edit this down anyway.
No, we don't edit it.
No, this is going up.
Just straight up.
So let's talk about, let's take a minute or two and kind of wrap it up.
What is your definition of a success?
I came back to the United States a couple years ago. This was for my 10-year high school reunion, and that was something that I thought about a lot over the years, and I was really worried that people would judge my travels around the world in the frame of their version of success, which is to have a career, to settle down, to have kids. And I was really worried that they wouldn't be able to understand or respect that. And I was happily wrong, and that people were very open to what others considered to be success. But that's not always the case. And I've heard this over and over again. Success means money. Success means children. Success means all of these things. We rarely forget to ask each other what success means.
What do you think, Jay?
Well, I think everybody worries too much about whatever other people think. I don't care. I don't care what anybody else defines as success.
What is your definition of success? How do you feel success? Do you feel successful, and why?
Basically, I define success as being happy. If I'm happy, then I feel like I'm successful.
Well, I think you're also in the minority when you say that you don't care what other people think about you, because I certainly care, and I know most people do care, and it matters to most people how others perceive them.
I'm very selective in who I care about, whether they what they think of me.
I care about what my close friends think, and my family to an extent, depending on who it is. But like Jay said, my success is based on how I feel on a day-to-day basis. If I feel happy, it doesn't matter what the balance of my bank account is. It doesn't matter what I'm doing for work. If I'm doing 5 years ago, I had a career where I was making $50,000 a year in California.
But you weren't happy.
And it sucked. And now I make minimum wage. I'm working like 18 hours a week for $7 an hour. I'm living in a house with 6 people, and I'm doing stand-up comedy, and you know what? I feel awesome. And I write jokes every day, and I work on stuff every day, and I have cool friends, and I'm cooking good food for people and having a fun time, and it's way cooler.
I like that.
We all tend to give ourselves a different sense of meaning in life and define it by what we're working towards. It seems that goals, targets, and objectives are necessary for an element of happiness, in my opinion. But I've just, it's interesting that you've had such a wonderful perspective to have a position of I want to say predictability in lifestyle, at least with salary, and choosing that to prefer a little bit something more chaotic.
A lot more.
Hey, Jeffrey, to close this out, how would you define the success of this podcast?
Oh.
To be determined.
Oh, really?
Oh.
What a cop-out.
In my opinion, the success is, do we speak to people? Do people get anything from Gripes?
Is my mom listening?
My mom will probably never listen
Well,
to
now
this.
she knows I've had a vasectomy. Thank
That's
you, Jay.
Wait, I don't think my mom's going to care if you have had a vasectomy.
I define success by whether my mom listens to my podcast appearances. So if you're listening, Mom, thanks. I'm successful now.
Wow, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you taking the time to
Thank
come
you
on the
for
show.
having me.
Yeah, everybody, again, that was Kendall Barbie, local woman.
She's a lady.
Hello?
Hi, so sorry to bother. This is Jeffrey and Jay on the podcast Open Mic Gripe. If you have 2 minutes to spare, we'd love to get your take on something. Would you like to participate?
Okay.
So my question for you is, do you have any gripes or anything on your mind which you'd like to vent about?
And it could be anything. It could be serious. It could be silly. It could be something local. It could be something globally. We do not discriminate.
Okay. And you guys are getting with who?
So we have an internet-based podcast called Open Mic Gripe, which is a platform for people to chat about any and all issues. And yep, so you can find us easily online. And yeah.
How'd you get my number?
This number was chosen randomly.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay. Okay, so where you guys at?
We're actually based out of Fargo, North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's up there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's up there. We're in Kansas, so.
Oh, in Kansas?
excellent.
Yeah.
What part of Kansas?
It's in the middle where it's hot.
Well, that's a lot different than here in Fargo where it's cold.
Okay, so you want me to bring up a subject that either I'm upset about or need to bring to attention?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
exactly right.
Well,
I mean, you can gripe about your neighbor if you want. We don't care.
oh, no, she's a cop. Speakers at the drive-thru.
Speakers at the drive-thru?
Speakers at the drive-thru. I like that.
You have to repeat yourself. They suck. They don't ever get your order right.
Oh,
Do
yes.
you ever get the right order?
Well, I always make sure to check my bag before I leave the drive-thru, which I think is kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think?
Exactly. You shouldn't have to. You should be able to go up and say, hey, I want a cheeseburger with mustard pickle onion on it. I come home with that mustard pickle onion on it.
I know, that should be it. You shouldn't have to say anymore, but of course you always got to repeat it.
Yes. Well,
Exactly.
To play devil's advocate, if I'm running around the restaurant and I'm fulfilling a number of orders at any one time, I'm probably going to screw things up at some point. So I would try to go out of my way to repeat the order to the person as you're handing it to them.
Well, yeah, as an old waitress here,
Ah.
it's kind of one of my pet peeves because, you got to pay attention. And hey, if you don't have a smile on your face, what are you doing working there?
Oh, I do. I agree completely with that, too. I think if you don't enjoy the job that you're in, try to find a different job.
Well, hold
if
on
you don't
now.
enjoy it, fake
At
it.
least say, hi, how you doing today? Hi, how you doing today? At least, give me a grin or something.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, and one more thing.
please.
These kids nowadays do not know how to count back change.
Oh,
Yes.
Have you noticed that?
Well,
I absolutely agree. That is absolutely unbelievable that people can't count back change anymore. Basically, if it doesn't come up on the register, they have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Okay, well, here's your $13 and handing it to you, and so you can give them the $13 back to you.
Well, how many people are actually trained in the effective methods of counting change? You know, for example, counting backwards. These are.
Well, that's how I taught.
Well,
That's how I taught.
Oh, I completely agree because I've had something for like basically easy math. $10.25. So I give them a 20 and they start ringing in. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. I have a quarter. And I give them that quarter and then they're like,
Oh, no, you messed them up. You done messed them up.
Yes. Yep. They have no idea what to do with that.
Well, not only that, but how many times have you received the wrong change and you have just suspected that they did it intentionally?
Getting at, you know, and then they're even losing out on money, you know, and then those who don't count it, you know, walk away and they get home and they go, hey, I just got $10. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Wow, these are some amazing gripes you have. I think you need to be a guest on this show more often.
Oh, I'd go for that. I'm home all the time, guys.
All right, excellent.
That's really cool. So you have the option to share your name, your first name, if you'd like. We have no obligations.
I'm Jamie.
Jamie?
But I'm Jamie.
Jamie, thank you so much for your assistance today.
That's with an M now. That's Jamie.
Jamie?
All right.
Okay. If you'd like to hear us, if you'd like to hear yourself on our podcast, please check out Open Mic Gripe. You can find it just by Googling that. If you'd like to send us an email, if you have any other ideas, feel free.
Are you on Facebook?
Oh, well, no, but I'll get on Facebook. Hey, you know what? I could come up with a whole bunch.
Okay.
I could give you guys a whole bunch of aspects of. What's the website again? My son.
Okay, the website is openmicgripe.libsyn, which is LIBSYN.com, and that's where you can actually find our episodes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed talking with you guys today.
Well, thank you so much. We very much enjoyed contacting you and talking to you today.
Thank you. I hope that everyone in Kansas really appreciates your voice as representation.
You betcha. Call me back later if you want.
All right. Thank you so much.
You know what? There's a good chance we will.
Okay. Have a wonderful day. Wow. So once again, that's Open Mic Gripe with Jeffrey Ide and
Jay Rice.
Yes, feel free to tune in next time. If you didn't enjoy this podcast, check out the next podcast, and we would like to hear more from you. Please email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet us at openmicgripe.
And, well, of course, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And, of course, if you didn't, check us out next week when we will be discussing your gripe.
Thank you so much.